I'm really mystified by how Israel can get away with this. I mean, for heaven's sake. I mean, really. It's absolutely outrageous what they're doing. I mean, people lived here. Are the Israelis trying to tell me that all these buildings were occupied by Hamas terrorists, so called? It's just not okay. It's just not acceptable. And the world doesn't do anything. And the media supports Israel, pretending that they're the good guys and that they are justified in what they're doing. Look, we are living in a world of deception, right? The Israel wanted to attack Gaza because they probably want to take it over at some point, and created a pretext by using some sort of fakery to give them an excuse. And then people around the world, like celebrities and so on, can start saying, oh, Israel had to act because the terrorists, they kidnapped so many babies, they killed so many children, they beheaded all these people, blah, blah, blah. And I don't believe that at all. I don't believe it even took place. I think it was faked. But even if it wasn't faked, and this is something I need to make very clear, even if this attack took place as the Israelis claim, and I know that they lie all the time, they just can't help it. I think it might be their national religion or something. Even if it was completely accurate and true, Israel's reaction is still unacceptable. It's totally unacceptable. And if people are worried about anti-Semitism, it seems like the Israeli government wants to create it. Because the public must be... A lot of people don't really know what's going on. And even the people who support the Palestinians are mostly in the dark about Israel's methodology, which is Hegelian dialectic. Israel always has to produce a pretense for its actions. 9/11 was a great excuse to demonize all the Muslim world and attack various countries and get the West to basically support it. Israel's policy is to get us to dislike their enemies, right? So they create problems for us. We, the public in our countries, because they're stupid, don't understand what's going on and end up hating Israel's enemies, which means that we do Israel's dirty work for them, although not on this occasion. I mean, there must be so many Israelis. Netanyahu, I mean, for God's sake. I mean, at least we got rid of Blair. I'm not saying we've improved since then, because we obviously haven't. But, I mean, Netanyahu? Really? I mean, how many fucking decades has this cunt been around? He's like whack-a-mole. You just can't get rid of him. You know? And, of course, these kind of warmongering events, and I'm pretty sure that, I mean, you would think Israelis would know better. I mean, come on. Israelis, they should know, shouldn't they? But I'm guessing that just like a lot of Germans after World War II were tricked into believing that there were all these concentration camps, and that they showed them lots of pictures, and then they honestly said, well, we didn't know anything about this. And there are people like Ursula Haberbeck who actually personally knew Hitler, who denies it ever took place. I mean, no one's denying that Jews died in World War II. Well, hopefully no one is, but the manner in which they died and the numbers who died, in my view, are not accurate. And many historians, and I don't claim to be a historian, I'm not able to access original documentation. I don't speak German, just a bit of social German. And again, a lot of faked documentation has been provided after World War II to rewrite history. I don't believe history is accurate because it's always written from a perspective, right? If you go to neighbouring countries, if you read Romanian and Hungarian history books, or Albanian and Serbian history books, you're going to get very different perspectives on lots of things that happened in the past. Which of them is true? Well, probably none of them are true, actually. There is a truth out there, but it's never exactly what we're told. And as the time passes and as the years pass and as people die off, there won't be any witnesses at all to what took place. And so we'll all have to rely on Wikipedia, as if they keep wanting those fucking bastards. Wikipedia, shocking. Jimmy Wales. You see, what they've done is, because Wikipedia can be edited, they can always, you know, if at some future date they want to make some claims about history, all they've got to do is just rewrite it. They could rewrite it. I mean, how do we know who, you know, who was the president of Mongolia 300 years ago? You know, most people would go to Wikipedia and try and find the answer. But supposing somebody had rewritten it, I mean, most of us only know. I mean, I know about my own life probably something from the age of 5. I start to know what goes on in my life, and then you get to be shown pictures. Like when I was a kid, there were pictures of the moon landing, but again at that age I didn't realize they would fake such a thing. I mean, you know, who would invent something like that? It's a bit like me claiming I've just climbed Mount Everest or something, you know. I mean, who's to say I haven't? But a lot of people don't realise that just because somebody makes a claim doesn't mean it's true. It's like this ludicrous Indian thing where they went to the moon. I mean, that was so stupid. I mean, no one's been to the moon, and certainly not the Americans in '69, where incidentally their photographs from the moon in 1969 were far better than the stuff we get now from terror events, right? Or when they're looking for some shoplifter or somebody, the police say, "Have you seen this man?" And they show what appears to be a ghost or something in the world's worst pixelation. You know, it's amazing. It's amazing what they get away with. But public don't question anything, and never, unfortunately, will. Look at this. This picture itself should say, no, this is not right. If the Palestinians did what they were supposed to have done, even if they had done, then maybe Israel should think, well, why would people do this, right? Even though it's horrible, there's a lot of people. It is a concentration camp. Gaza is a concentration camp. You know, the Israelis maintain people who live there are not allowed in or out. You understand? They're not allowed in or out. And the Arab world is impotent, can't do anything. Obviously, we've destroyed a number of their countries. Countries such as Iraq and Syria and Yemen have all been created civil wars. Libya's another one. Egypt's got a crooked military leader who's a piece of shit and won't help the Palestinians at all. I'm not suggesting that, you know, the Arabs should have a war with Israel, but I don't know what the answer is, Pierre. I think the answer is we've got to stop pretending that giving Israel weapons and so on, Israel should be sanctioned. You know, I mean, when Russia allegedly invaded, the world's slowest invasion, how the front line hasn't moved like a meter in the last 2 years. But when Russia allegedly attacked Ukraine, we all of us in the West were told, you've got to support Ukraine. You've got to support Ukraine. Ukraine is good. Zelensky is great. Support the neo-Nazis. I mean, the freedom fighters in Ukraine. Okay, so that's what we were told. They've always got the right answers, you see. There's never, the media always tell us who the good guys are, who the bad guys are, who we should support. And the public go along with it. I mean, I've met so many brain dead people. They're not even necessarily stupid people. That's the frightening thing. Because they can create a situation where the public just, they feel emotionally that they should support, like the Ukrainian flag. But now, when Israel is doing horrible, horrible, horrible things in Gaza, where there's 2.3 million people basically stuck behind barbed wire with nowhere to go to. I mean, you can't go anywhere. I mean, we're told about how heroic the Jews were in World War II with the Warsaw Ghetto and all the rest of it. And yet, what's happening in Gaza? I mean, surely we should make the same thing. If you know, this is a ghetto. And I mean, it was a ghetto before the Israelis bombed it. And now they'll be bombing it. They're bombing it, bombing it, bombing it. They're attacking Syria, blaming Iran. They even did that. After 9/11, after the Bin Laden story started to war off, Israel started claiming that actually Iran was involved in that. Can you imagine? The lies of these people is just astronomical. And the public go along with it. And the people, and if you try and talk to people about it, you get, oh, no, you're a conspiracy theorist. No, 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 I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to know. Na di da di da. They're like children who stick their fingers in their ears because, and it happened to me during lockdown. I met a couple in the street with their masks on. I said, look, really, you've got to realise this is all a government scam. And they said, no, no, no. She actually, this middle-aged woman, she actually put her fingers in her ears like a kid, and she just wasn't prepared to consider it. It's not like, come on, it's not like they haven't lied to us in the past. At least consider it. If you meet someone who says, hang on, I think maybe what we're being told isn't true, surely you should listen to that. In much the same way as a judge should listen to evidence or should listen to testimony. For example, if somebody say, well, I know that particular guy and I can assure you that he wouldn't do something like that. I've known him for 20 years, or something along there. So no, 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 I'm sorry. It's obviously the guy's guilty. Yeah, but hang on a minute, Judge. I'm trying to tell you something that might... No, 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 no. He's guilty. He's guilty because he's a Russian Palestinian or something, and the public aren't prepared to consider. Whenever you hear a story, ask yourself what other explanations there could be for the story. Is it Hegelian dialectic? For example, when they first rolled out the electric vehicles, or we were only told about the benefits, the free parking that's been withdrawn, and the low cost of electricity, which at the time people were saying, hey, I can go 300 miles on 15 quid's worth of fuel. But later, then you get the other stories. Then they have to do the road pricing, the electricity prices go up by 500%, and then you have the electric vehicle fires, and then the insurance rates rocket, right? But by then, people have bought these bloody things. They bought it, and they thought I had low insurance, I had low electricity, there was free parking, and I wasn't told anything about the fire risk. And now suddenly you've got the fire risk, you've got the expensive electricity, you've got the expensive repairs, the right expensive insurance, can't be fixed by a local garage. And if the battery gets damaged, then the battery needs to be replaced at very high cost. And also, repairs take a long time, even if you can afford them, even if they're covered by insurance. Yeah? I mean, I know a guy who's had a MG, and his vehicle was involved in a relatively minor front end collision with a fence, and it took 2 months for him to get his car back. I think more than 2 months. If that had been a normal car, he could have taken it to if he just had a Ford Escort, a similar type of damage would have taken a week or two to fix and been about £500 rather than several £1,000s. Because of course, whenever an electric vehicle crashes, they have to do a recalibration of the car because it's electronic. It has so much electronics. This isn't something that a normal guy can do in his garage. Even somebody with really good skills wouldn't be able to do it. So it has to go to a main dealer. So anyway, look at that mess. It's not right, is it? I don't think it's right. I mean, if one wickedness doesn't justify another wickedness, does it? I mean, what Israel is saying is, you've committed a crime against us, and now we're going to commit a crime against you. Or more likely, let's put it this way. Let's say a man kicks your dog, or a man kills your dog, or a man kills your wife. Are you allowed to go and kill that man's wife, and his dog, and his wife, and his children, and his parents? That's what Israel does. Israel says, somebody's hurt us. This is the official position, right? Somebody's hurt us, and we're now going to go and kill 100 times more of their people. Then I'm sorry, you can't do that. The vast majority of people in Gaza who've been killed by the Israelis have nothing to do with this event at all. And yet Israel is still killing them and being allowed by our own governments to get away with it. And that, in my opinion, is a terrible crime.